Hey, how's it? What's up? It's Karabo. I hope you're good. Recording on two devices. Hey, what's up? What's up here? Because this one every so often gives me issues. Hope you're peachy. How am I? Nobody cares. Except, I don't know, God cares. So that should be sufficient. Alright, look, yeah, what's up? Hey, look at my wig. I think it shrunk. I think my wig shrunk. I put it in the washing machine. And this is what it looks like. So whatever. I think it looks better. It gives me a little bit of an edgy look, like I'm Roxette in the 80s. Hello, hello, you fool, I love you. Come on, join the joyride. Am I convincing? Anyway, if not, who cares? Listen, life is really rough around the edges and around everything else. Before we talk about life, let me just also put a caveat out there. I'm wearing a makeup filter. To just kind of clean up, to give myself a little bit of an edge, like an what do you call this? Like an eyelash vibe. I want lashes. Like, not everybody was born Indian, okay? Please. Yeah, so I put that on, but every so often when I like gesture, especially my brows, they fall off. You might see my brow over there or something. So don't be Acha on some. Oh, please. She's not really wearing makeup. It's a filter. Yeah, it is. But since some people are coming here for the first time, they don't know that I have already confessed that I put makeup on using a filter. Because I'm not trying to have people feel like, yes, we got her. No, you haven't gotten me. I wore mascara. Anyway, whatever. Speaking of we got her, alright guys, let's just put we got her out there. Yeah, I told you guys that I would be in pursuit for suicide for pretty much the rest of my existence on the earth. I don't eat just before the rapture. I'm going to be attempted gunned down, and the suicide is going to be sent by one person. But this one person is going to die, and when he dies, I will then gain some kind of relief. But then somebody else is going to take over the reins from that guy, because that's the world that we live in. I do not know who under heaven I am, or what under heaven I'm here to do, but the amount of death against me, like proper, I'm just some girl, some person, some ignorable woman in South Africa. So ignorable am I that I get nowhere. Everybody that comes to my content develops some kind of irritation and animosity, and then they walk away. And then those that stick around can't consume me for indefinite periods of time without taking a very long break and then coming back, because they're literally walking these streets trying to find someone, I guess, that's busy saying the things that I say, and they can't find them, and so they come back but with irritation. That's my audience. The reason why I am only drawing that kind of audience is because God will have it done that way. It's because of witchcraft. It's a combination of things. So witches are drawn to my content because they are supposed to be handed over to a debased mind by my content. They're supposed to be either made to repent or be finished off. That's the job that I have in Christ, to basically call out those that mess up with the cosmic atmosphere and wreak havoc in people's lives using spiritual means. So because I draw witches to my content, manifestation is a whole thing of demons. They start out liking me because they click on me due to the fact that they tend to be fake Christians, and then they just can't help but, foam at the mouths with sorcery, demons, and so out of foaming they then slap me with witchcraft. And so that's why I'm going to be perpetually pursued by witchcraft, by death curses like suicide and whatnot. They can't help it. God keeps describing what they are as singularity. Basically, in AI, artificial intelligence within the computing space, there is something called singularity, where basically computers now are running themselves. They're running their own show. And we don't know what in the world is the capability of what they can do. What is the capacity of what they can do out here? And so really, frankly, everybody is in a really bad, not a bad bunch. Once things reach singularity, that's what we all fear. Apparently by 2047, AI will reach singularity and so take over the world, and that's the reason why 2047 is probably not even a year on the calendar of the Earth period, because that's not how the world ends. It ends with Christ returning on a white horse with a whole bunch of us. So yeah, however, in using singularity to describe metaphorically what's going on with witches, they have dabbled with witchcraft for so long. They've done wickedness, experimenting, touching, messing with this thing for so long that their demons, the entities in them, have reached singularity. They've literally taken over their bodies, and now They're being run, they're being driven, and they can't help it. God has handed them over that way to be used by devils, to manifest like no man's business, foaming at the mouth in the presence of Christians, especially Christians who are calling out the darkness, and there's nothing they can do because they love to dabble with witchcraft. That's just what human beings do. They innovate things, they do things that are frankly bigger and smarter than them, can catch up with them, and when then these things catch up with them, they wonder why in the world they got apocalypsed. They wonder why that even happened. The human race is dumb enough, unlike God, to create things that can get stronger than them, right? God created us as mere mortals. That's why we are mere mortals. He created, we weren't actually always immortal. We were once upon a time immortal, but then we became mortal because of the fall of Adam and Eve. However, despite even immortality, we were much weaker than God. Nothing in comparison to him. All of creation is subject to him. Yeah, but we go on right ahead and invent all of these things that are more powerful than us, have the potential to grow bigger than us, and then we wonder why there is like a whole coup of our person. And just like with artificial intelligence, so too do these people get taken over by demons who are from the very get-go stronger than them. They don't have a birth date. They don't also have a death date. The birth date was God's creation of, I guess, angels who then fell, mated with women, became Nephilim, etc. They started back then. They just continue to linger and linger and linger. Well, we die. We cease to exist. And something that not only does not die because it's been given permission to roam the earth freely by a holy God, but is also more intelligent than you, has more knowledge than you because it's been around for a lot longer, and you use that to try and manipulate stuff on earth. How in the world under heaven do you think that it's going to keep obeying you? How under heaven, just like with artificial intelligence, do you think that whatever it is that you've created is going to keep obeying you when it realizes it's stronger than you? It doesn't have to be subjugated. It's the tyranny of the littleness of you. And so therefore it's just going to do its own thing. It's going to do its own thing. So these people are literally being run, walked for, talked for, breathed for, eaten for by demons. They change their personality, suits their style, like outfit style, what they like to dress. They change what they prefer to eat. They change what they prefer to look at. Like, these demons go and grab a person that prefers romantic novels to forcing them to watch, to become all bloodthirsty and obsessed with now violent movies or horror movies, causes a person that had never masturbated in their life to all of a sudden have a masturbation addiction, causes a person that's never taken a drug in their life to all of a sudden be snuffing lines of cocaine, causes a person who has never looked at a lewd scene in his life and now he's addicted to pornography. They give you entire personalities. They give you a brand spanking new do-over of a personality, singularity. They take over and they live on behalf of a person. They live rent-free inside the body of those that dabble with them. And the more these people dabble with them, the more singularity, the more these things just kind of do their own thing. They just roam these streets doing whatever. And so, really, their chief commander, who is Satani, goes on right ahead and says, okay, you over there, there's a Christian next door. You go in and knock on her door, buy her flowers, pretend you're a Christian, infiltrate yourself into your life. All I want you to do is just sit down inside the house of a Christian woman until she believes that you're Christian, and at the opportune time, I'm then going to use you like a puppet on a string to keep on making this Christian a pinata. You're going to bat her. You're going to baseball bat her in particular, over and over and over again, until her God delivers her from you. And the way that is going to happen is you're gonna die and I'm gonna get to cheer because you're gonna get to go to hell. But before then, you will make out of that Christian a pinata. So he just goes on right ahead and infiltrates whole bunch of witches into the lives of Christians just for the sake of, no, get this, not destroy the Christian. We can't be destroyed, okay? It's just not a thing. We trample on serpents and scorpions and of all the power of the enemy, but the witch. So my ministry is like this final destination for witches. I keep saying that. It is this dead end. It makes me uneasy because I get so attacked by them, and it's not comfortable to be in that position. It is the cemetery for witches. It's like going to a cemetery where, a whole hole has been nicely prepared for you to jump into, and you make that your bed. You make that your cushy little pillow, and you just sleep in there every night until one day an excavation company rocks up with its big fat chunky machine and just puts some sand on your body, and when you wake up, whoops, like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, you've been buried alive. because nobody really dies. You will die a second death, but in that second death you will weep and mourn and gnash your teeth for all of eternity, where the worm dieth not, and the smoke of your torment rises up forever. So yeah, these witches, when they come into my ministry, unfortunately for them, it's like they're coming to their own funerals. Most of them. For most of them, it's like coming to their own funerals. Some do repent. I am apparently very stumbling. For whatever reason, they don't want to take me seriously, or they want to believe that I'm not called, or they want to believe that I'm not the real deal, because apparently, allegedly, in order to be a Christian, you gotta look a particular way, and you gotta be super boring, you gotta be monotonous, you gotta have absolutely no swagger, zero style, zero anything. And so when then there's like all this like juice and energy and I don't know, a vibrancy of personality, they're like, she can't be God's, because God's people are like, you know, cassette tapes that just keep on repeating over and over again, and really frankly it's all boring, it's monotonous. Except, have you seen the spectrum, the color of the rainbow? Frankly, in the body of Christ, we are a very mellifluous, a beautiful bunch of people, but the world loves to underestimate us. So herein lies the treasure in jars of clay, something that people underestimate the living daylights out of, and then that person becomes their final destination. That person becomes the last Christian they will ever persecute. That person then becomes the end of them. So I've got this like bittersweet relationship with witches who can't get away from my ministry. They just can't stop watching because they've been drawn here, but they also can't stop bewitching the living daylights out of me. They hate to love me and love to hate me, and that hatred to love and that love to hate is what's gonna kill them. A small fraction repents. A tiny, like frankly it's negligible, perhaps, you know, somewhere in the 0.001 percentiles, they are repenting, but there is the majority, the grand majority of them rock up, and after like a good 3 days, 5, maybe 7, perhaps 2 weeks, maybe a month, boom, there's a witchcraft spell on my ministry, there's a witchcraft spell on my hair, there's a witchcraft spell on my skin, there's a witchcraft spell on my eyes, there's a witchcraft spell on my shirt, there's a witchcraft spell on my teeth, there's a witchcraft spell on my chin, there's a witchcraft spell on my pillow. Anything they can touch, and they don't leave until they've either repented or perished. I am a dead end, a stop sign, not even a yield. I am a T-junction, a cul-de-sac, just something that is the end of the journey for witches. I'm the end of the journey. Like, none of them can ever come into my ministry and get out just carrying on with life as normal. And so as a result, I'm their piñata. The devil has made them knock on my door, rock up with flowers, rock up with, you know, pleasantries, rock up with a little casserole, hey? On some, hey, I've noticed you're a new neighbor. What's going on? Can we please have a conversation? I like you. Where do you come from? What state or what country or what province or what city did you live in before you came in here? And then I humor their conversation, go to the kitchen, make them a cup of coffee, and when I come back, they've like shape-shifted into a zombie. And it's like, ooh, goodness gracious, like proper, it's been happening on a loop for years, guys. I'm tired, like I'm exhausted. On a loop. There are zombies in my house, and they can't touch me. And they shapeshift in the season of time when I'm busy going to go grab them a pancake, a cookie, blueberry muffin, some coffee and some juice. When I return, crawling up my walls and stuff, breaking my lamps and batting my television and kicking my cat. And I'm just like, ooh, wow, okay, look. Yeah, so like I have a very big house then, in this particular metaphor, where I just run from room to room of this house, and I hide in a room where they're not at, but they can't stop knocking on each room. If I'm in a room, they pebble my window, and then when I notice that a stone has landed on my window, I check who's there, and it looks like a smiling fresh Christian with a casserole, another chicken lasagna is downstairs. And then I give them a staircase and they come up, and then when they come up and they hang out with me again, you know, since my house is so big and it's an ensuite and it has little mini cottages in it, I then go to another kitchen, like maybe the 7th one in this house, and I make them yet another, you know, couscous lunch. And when I come back with the couscous and the strawberry juice, booyah, manifesting again. So I've made a decision not to respond to emails, direct messages and whatnot, but that does not stop them from pebbling, you know, putting a whole bunch of stains on my windows, it does not stop them from doing that. So I keep hearing their attempt to knock. I keep hearing their attempt to come in. And even though I'm ignoring them, now they are upset. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh. Now they're upset with the fact that I won't open for any of them. Now they're upset that I won't allow their infiltration. Now they're upset that I'm not allowing anybody to come in with their grubby fingers anymore. I mean, like, I'm running out of rooms in this house that have got alternative exits and entry holes and entry points, because I'm avoiding zombies in other rooms that are just teeming at the folds, making like the monsters in the cabin in the woods, going up and down an elevator. I am avoidant of all other rooms in this little ghostly house of mine. They've made it a haunted mansion when it used to be so polite. Once before, it was so cute, it was tranquil, it smelled like vanilla, and now it smells like dead blood. It smells like a carnage, a car accident scene that has not been catered to for like days because it happened in a remote location. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, my house smells like blood, like that of a rotting corpse in particular. And I don't like being in this little mortuary because it's not even cold, it's just hot. God is letting their blood bubble, and I'm like, whoa, God, my house is now a cemetery full of zombies, and I won't open for any of them, and now they're angry at me because I won't open a door. Now they're upset at me because they won't open a door. I won't open. Now I refuse to check, like, what is this? My blog for my form to see if anybody has written. I don't even check because I won't respond. I'm not responding to emails. I'm not taking direct messages. I'm just literally ignoring every witch because God has made it clear to me that one day somebody is gonna kill you if you keep opening doors. The only way to protect yourself at this point, Karabo, is to wait for me to bring what I'm bringing into your life. So that you can take care of yourself, so that you can finally move out of this haunted mansion that frankly was not always haunted. There was a time it was polite, but these people have made it a menacing haunted mansion. They've made it like corporate in the cabin in the woods. If you've seen that movie, you know, all those monsters that are inside those funny little horizontal and vertical elevators going funny strange directions. Yeah, I've captured some zombies, guys. I am like Buffy, Booyah, the Vampire Slayer. I like capture entities, like people who are indwelt by zombies. I catch them and I put them in some funny little room. I leave them there, and then they just keep bashing their heads and skulls against this particular wall in this room, slapping me with curses, forcing an agenda, and they become history at some point, but not a history that is happy to stay in the past. They just want to keep themselves relevant, and so they just keep sending me spells, but they've been locked in chains like the monsters in the cabin in the woods. And God is going to unleash these monsters on you in the tribulation, but initially you guys will have just watched them roam my house. You random wannabe Christians, other people that just listen to me on some what is this woman talking about, you properly have made me bank monsters, and since I will have disappeared after the rapture, they're not gonna come for you. They're gonna be walking around your backyard. They're gonna be coming pelting your window. They're gonna be rocking up all up in your kitchen, trying to eat your couscous, and you think I'm the one here that's in trouble. Anyway, but until then, it's me they're obsessed with, because they're trying to make me commit suicide. Listen. The Lord made it clear to me that in the run-up to the rapture, there will be a very poignant call for suicide on my life. And so when it starts to happen, I start to realize what's happening, and then I just do whatever I do in order to overcome, okay? It just lets me know that I'm closer and closer to that dear due date. But I won't stop talking about whoever is sending me a curse. I won't stop letting you know what new cabin in the wood monster is like literally trying to pierce through, drill a hole into the door that he's been bolted shut behind in some funny little strange 4x4 cell that's made of aluminum steel that can't be pierced, but he's trying. I'm gonna keep letting you guys know what he's doing because he's just all up in this grill, and I'm like bored now. I'm living in my room here in this like haunted mansion, still getting some witches throwing stones at my window trying to come in, and now they're angry because I have a policy, I have a strategy now to not let them come in, because you know the devil is sending them since they've reached singularity. They first come into my space literally anticipating that they can keep themselves in a bunch until the Holy Spirit is so fiery, he is such an inferno that they can't help but manifest. And that's exactly the reason why God sends them to my ministry and why the devil loves them in this space. I am the end of their lives, literally in a most physical and spiritual sense. I am the end. They either must repent or they will perish. They will wax worse and worse until they either repent or they will die in that state. They will practice witchcraft in their 4x4 aluminum steel cells bolted behind a door that's been shut. They will do this until the demons in their bodies take them over entirely. And I'm just waiting for the ones of the most active little witch to take him over. The guy in the US of A in California over there, that's super naive, penduluming from love spell to death spells. He's reached singularity, and I'm about to explain what's going on over there because I can't help but talk about them. I mean, who doesn't talk about the haunting when it keeps on going, oh, in your house? Anyway, yeah, God has allowed this to happen because this is how he's judging the wicked, but it's really very exhausting. However, he has given me a way out. There's always a way out. The devil also loves this because, like I said, he knows he can't get to the Christian. However, he loves to poke and prod away at the believer and cause a great deal of fear. But really what he's trying to do here is just take the witch to the end of themselves. He's just trying to finish them off. They're already zombies walking around. The devil just wants to put them in the ground. He just wants to finish them off before they can repent and give their lives to Christ. So he, creates in them a deep obsession with me as he has been allowed to do so by God. So this is a combination of God's sovereignty and basically whatever it is that is the job that Satan has here on the earth. And he's been given permission to taunt me, torment me, poke and prod away at me with his little devil fork. Yeah, until the rapture, through witches in particular. Like, they're just my job. It's what I've been given. I don't like it, but it is what it is. And I gotta survive. You can't really say to God, I'm sorry, please, can I just be a lady baking, cookies? Can I just go and make some, strawberry cupcakes? And, give them to some kids in a creche, proper? Can I just not go and wear an apron in a kitchen? And be some dude's wife, alright? That's gonna come back to, some beautiful soup, brewing and stewing in the pot. At the end of the day, heavily pregnant with his triplets. Can I just be that girl? It's literally what I asked for in prayer. I wanted to be barefoot and pregnant in a kitchen with some dude rocking up home with, to smell some, chicken stew on the stove. And then I became, Buffy. Oh, guys. The Vampire Slayer. Now all I do is just slay demonic people. And I'm like, okay, well, it's a job, fine. I guess, Ispan. That's what we say in South Africa. A job. A job is a job. Yo, okay. I was the one that went to Jesus in 2011 when I got born again. And I was like, if you can use it, you and Lord, you can use me. Busy singing that song naively, unaware to myself what's gonna happen. And then he was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna make you a vampire slayer. And I was like, okay. Yeah, I didn't really know what that entailed. And now all these years down the line, I'm severely persecuted, living in a spiritual haunted mansion full of witches that won't stop practicing sorcery on my ministry. And they fill me with suicide ideation until they die. Oh. It's really very disturbing, guys. And for whatever reason, the Lord God Almighty has decided that I'm going to do this in isolation without Christians, without real Christians. And if at all, it's like Christians looking at me. They're Ananias and Sapphira, just some very cold-hearted, ill-spirited, unfeeling 51%ers that I spoke about yesterday. They're just barely making it in Christ, escaping as through the fire. It's like what's drawn to my ministry are those kinds of people. And of course, I appreciate those who have never known Jesus at all, but they're curious and they're clicking on me, and so they are getting nicely inspired or educated, but it's a very small number. Otherwise, the audience in my ministry is frankly going to be a petrifying number of people, insensitive, and most of them are witches that are obsessed with my case, covens, randos. Even with all of the shadow banning, I only ever get, people that get drawn to me are a particular caliber, and there's only one or two negligible people that are normal, but they don't quite know God fully yet. They're just investigating the things of Jesus, and then they get curious in my case because they also are being afflicted by witches in their lives, and so I'm helpful to them. But like I said, one or two negligible across my 4 channels. The majority of people who watch me are either Ananias and Sapphira, if they claim to be Christian, or they are just witches, and the witches cannot stop pelting my windows. They just won't. They won't stop knocking on my door, and now that I have basically slammed my door like a nice little INFJ personality type, now they're just trying to kick it down, and I'm like, alrighty, cool. The Lord has done this because the intention is to display to the global citizenship once the rapture has happened just what exactly witches were doing to the earth and why he had to rapture the body of Christ. The cosmic chaos basically is just a cantankerous, noisome affair in the sky, and everybody thinks it's not there because they're living whatever it is that are their minimum bare, just keep scraping through life existences, unawares to themselves just how stolen from they are. People have no clue in these like giant streets because frankly they don't want to be thin, okay? How stolen from they are. No idea. They're just content with whatever it is that they have. And so, I mean, they look at my life. It's pitiful. Frankly, the Ananias and Saphiras that look at me are thinking, herein lies the deal. Thank God I have a job. Thank God I don't have to deal with living with people that petrify me with fear every day. Thank God I am not suffering from witchcraft curses that aren't lifting off my life. Thank God. Like, they literally look at me and say, thank God I'm not Karabo. Whoa. You should rather be asking God, why am I not so keenly spiritually aware of what's going on in the cosmos that I would indeed be more or less like Karabo? That's what you should be asking yourself. Why has the Lord not heightened your frequency to understand just how chaotic the cosmos is? And why are you not being shown what's happening in your life? It's because you choose ignorance. You think ignorance is bliss. You think not knowing is power. You think blindness is safety. Insofar as you can just, murkily walk through the earth with a smokescreen in front of you, with a blurry vision, with an inability to truly, with clarity, gauge a circumstance that you're safe because what you don't see can't hurt you. Except, no, what you don't see is precisely the thing that's hurting your soul. And you will discover that at some point. You can either try to discover it now or you can discover it later. I have a spiritual gifting that I ask God for that is the bane of my existence today. However, it also helps me avoid some pretty shoddy company. So those of y'all who say to yourselves, thank God I'm not in Karabo's shoes, goodness gracious, are you not hanging out with a friend that's put a spell on your job? Are you not hanging out with a man that is about to marry you even though he's in the occult? Are you not a woman that is struggling to conceive a baby because your best friend can't stop bewitching your fertility? Are you not a woman that is a subordinate of a boss that keeps on keeping you low spiritually with witchcraft so you will not grow? Are you not a girl hanging out in an entourage of friends that have all cast spells on you? If I tell you, my story is quite the sobby one. Every last one of my friends from high school, as in every last one, there is not even a single exception, put witchcraft on me. Imagine if I did not have a spiritual gifting, guys, and these random foolish women were watching my life as it progressed, me stumbling all over the show, struggling to do things, missing out on opportunities in life, things just falling apart, going for interviews and failing them when I was the best candidate for the job. Marrying a man that ends up laying his hands on me, like they would have just watched my life fall apart. I can take it falling, like just stumbling everywhere. I'm just rolling down little mountains like Jack and Jill, fetching a pail of water. Jack came tumbling down and Jill came tumbling after. They would have just watched my life be like that of Jack and Jill, and they would have been like, in a corner. Like witches, that evil, nefarious laugh. Knowing that I'm stumbling, I'm tripping, I'm getting a divorce, my child is taking drugs, that my job is falling apart, my boss is persecuting me in the office. They would have known that they did it. But I would have been the one to live. I would have called them. I would have grabbed my iPhone or my Android, whatever, and been like, sister girl, my boss is so mean. I don't know what I'm gonna do. He's so incredibly gangster. The other day he gave me such a low appraisal score. I don't know what I done did, girl. Even though I'm the best one there at the job, I'm nonetheless getting the lowest marks. I don't get it. I work so hard all year long. Even when he's got new recruits, I'm the one that's training them up. And yet he's busy telling me that I'm not doing well. He gave me 1 out of 5 on my appraisal. My heart is broken. He's getting in the way of my bonus. He's getting in my way. He's getting in the way of finishing off my mortgage. He's getting in my way. And this girl is like, oh, sister, I'm sorry, girl. Oh, you know, these bosses, even the one that I work with here in the office sometimes gives me problems, but phew, it's not as bad as yours. Anyway, let's go and have lunch at the Primi Piatti over there, girl, and talk about it. I'll pay, girl, I'll pay. I got the bill. Oh my goodness gracious. And I'm the one here in trouble. Like, y'all, people should long to have my gift, because then you get to, like, I am isolated the way that I am. I am lonely the way that I am. I have no one in my life because witchcraft is that bad across the earth. The reason I have no one in my life is because the moment a person casts a spell on me, I find out this girl that rocked up in my reside recently from South Africa that I met on the internet cast a spell testing to see if my spiritual gift was real. And I found out within 3 days. I got a dream about it and I called her out on it, and our relationship is over now. I'm lonely and I have no friends because there are that many witches everywhere. So you're the ones, Ananias and Safira, that think that I'm the one that is in a bad space, that are literally chilling out having luncheons with friends that spiked your drink and caused you to fall off your chair and lose your strong career or your promotion, and they're the reason why your boss is the bane of your existence, and then they're the ones that are comforting you over lunch, and they insist on paying for it because at that luncheon is where they're gathering all the data as to how well their witchcraft worked. That's the world you live in. So, I mean, to say that ignorance is bliss, I'm sorry, it ain't. I'm lonely only because the world's witches have reached singularity. I'm lonely only because every last one of my friends from high school are witches. I'm lonely because many of my girls from university are witches. I'm lonely because many of my colleagues put spells on me. I'm lonely because every friend I have gathered for myself, many of the friends I have gathered for myself in the past, have turned to the darkness in order to deal with their jealousy, in order to basically put me in what they imagine is my place. I'm lonely because so many people are turning to the darkness to have their bread buttered on both sides and to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to maintain friendships and relationships and stuff with you while they crush your life, obliterate it. In project management, it's called a traceability matrix. I used to be a program manager / project manager, so I shall use these terminologies to help you understand what's going on here. Yeah, a woman with that level of skill and education is sitting at home unable to get even 1 cent into her bank account because obviously I got witches for friends and God is doing this for his own purposes. We'll see how this ends, okay? Listen up, a traceability matrix is this thing that you have to draft at the beginning of your project. Once you have set apart scope, time, basically your constraints as to how long this project is going to run, what the quality parameters are, if you're responsible. It's quite a lot of work, okay? You're going to do this traceability matrix, and as your project progresses, based on the constraints and where you hoped to be by a certain time, you will then measure, and it is this traceability matrix against which that very boss that is trying to give you a bad appraisal score frankly can't fight against. So if you conjure it up, if you hook it up, if you open your little Excel spreadsheet and actually put in the time in the beginning of your project, you can create an objective methodology with which your boss can use in order to appraise you successfully without saying in their own subjective immorality that you suck and you can't do your job. The traceability matrix helps you figure out, or rather helps him or her figure out if at all you have actually met your deadlines, your timelines, and whatever it is that were the mitigating factors. Should you have dropped the ball, how well you executed them. So if you do your job a particular way, some people can't rob the living daylights out of your appraisals. This is a lesson I learned the hard way when I was working at MTN, because I had a jealous boss, some silly little freaky chick, a white lady, that used to give me bad appraisals, and I realized that if I had come up with a very excellent traceability matrix, she would know that it is impossible for her to give me a bad score because the stats speak for themselves. Anyway, so let's speak about out this traceability matrix. In it, you basically put all of your parameters for this particular project and how far you need to be by what time. Indeed. And then you just go and check against this the now as is state. So the to be is what it is that you desire in the past, in the future, and then the as is state is whatever is going on currently. And as time progresses, you can then look at this traceability matrix to see where you're at in comparison to where you're supposed to be. And if you have slippaged or tripped up a storm on the left and on the right, you then can be measured against that, and whatever excuse you have for basically slipping, that can also give you amnesty or concession, lest there was a factor that was not accounted for that reasonably can explain why and the evidence that you dropped the ball in this particular regard. So you don't necessarily have to fail if you don't meet your targets. You can just say, no, but there was the pandemic, coronavirus happened, and so of course we couldn't meet deadlines, and so they can't mark you down. That's what's good. Yeah, well, this traceability matrix helps you basically gauge, like I said, your as is versus your to be, and if it's aligned, if it's mapped, which rarely ever happens in waking life. In real life, you gotta make room for human error and all other factors extenuating that can afflict an ecosystem. Nothing operates in a vacuum, albeit us being in great desire for it to happen that way. The closer you are to this particular point, the more successful you've been with your project. So basically, you wanted to deliver ABC by this particular DEF time and within these particular PQR quality constraints, and you got pretty close. So I guess you're basically walking on water like Jesus at this point, in which case let's congratulate you, give you a really great appraisal score, and you're gonna go home with an excellent bonus at the end of the financial year. That's what's good, you guys. This traceability matrix is quite functional as well within the gargantuan projects that are launched against innocent lives in the occult. They are much better project or program managers in witchcraft than they ever can be in their actual jobs. That's what's good. They've got traceability matrices, do you understand? Where they look at to be, basically a desired outcome for you, their best friend for you. They're the chick in the office that they hope to marry for you, their sister for you, their cousin. You, their next door neighbor. They've got a plan for your life. They properly sit down and they chart a course of somebody else's life. Look at these people planning your plans. Yeah. And they say, I want Karabo to marry some guy that's going to slap her silly, or a dude that's going to be unfaithful, or some dude that has no money, some dude that's just poor, some dude that's irresponsible. Or I wanted to stay with the guy that she's with now because he's really giving her a hard time. Well, I don't even want her to get married, never mind marrying a bad dude, because she's arrogant. She thinks she's so pretty that obviously somebody's going to take her up like real yesterday. And so therefore, she's going to be a little spinster that's like Carrie Hilson. Like, who in the world gets to the age of 40-something looking like that and having never been married? They make that decision for you. That's what's good. Come up against your marriage prospects, your job prospects, your baby prospects, your baking business prospects, your entrepreneurial prospects, whatever. They just, no. And they decide that they're going to plan what you're going to do. Now that they have put their scope aside and all of their constraints aside, their time, their quality, and they have done a nice little, project management plan for your future, they then draw up a traceability matrix against every milestone, and as the months, years, and decades progress, they just kind of gawk at their traceability matrix to see how well they shattered the living daylights out of your life. So when you keep these people in your life, when they hang out, when they, chill in your bedroom, pampering you, hugging you after your husband has walked out with a 22-year-old mistress, they're like, girl, I'm so sorry. These men ain't jack. They're trash. These men, dogs, I tell you. Meanwhile, 15 years ago, she came up against your impending marriage when you were preparing, because you were apparently a bridezilla for your wedding. And you were the maid of honor. She was the maid of honor at your wedding. But hey, guess what? The maid of honor at your wedding has already come up against your marriage before you even walk down the aisle. So on the wedding day, when she's busy being the first lady among all the maiden of honors, that's what's good. Yeah, she's already come and divided your household. She's already sown discord. Before y'all can go on a honeymoon, for crying out loud, she's already burnt that house down. And then 15 years later, your husband leaves you for some mistress, but not before cheating on you with 10 others in the marriage. And you in and of yourselves can't stop fighting yourself, keep on biting his head off running your mouth because you're a dripping tap, and everything falls apart. The children, you stick around in this for literally 5 years too long for them. The kids of which have absolutely no respect for their parents because either one has taken dad's side or the other's taken mom's side, and don't nobody know who is going to take the children. Custody battles become a thing, blah blah, and this is all happening as you are communicating to this, like, not so much a bridezilla but a maiden of honorzilla. Yeah, a little bit of a Godzilla in the maid of honor. You keep on going to this best friend of yours and telling her how your husband just won't stop messing up. It's only been 2 months since you got married. It's only been a year. Goodness, you're supposed to be in a honeymoon phase. It's only been 2 years. But he's giving you grief during pregnancy. He's kind of absent emotionally. But like you weren't like that when we were dating as boyfriend and girlfriend. What's going on and what's this and what's up? And this chick is like, hey girl, I've been reading in stats that the reason why people change in marriage is because, they kind of relax because they think they finally bagged you. Maybe that's why he's so different from the time when he was your boyfriend, now that he's your husband. Whoa, this is the maid of honorzilla all up in your girl. She came against your marriage. When your babies get born, when your child starts to be revealed as a little Einstein in school, she's not bewitched your child. When you bear twins, jealous, you miscarry. When you start a business, it just flops. Like, don't nobody like your cupcakes. Whoa. I guess it is what it is. I'll just stick around in corporate South Africa gathering dust, hating that monotonous environment. Because I cannot go and be a super shiny star doing covers on YouTube because I prefer to sing. I guess it's not for me, but she's the one that came up against you and is now causing your beautiful voice to just, be done in the shower. When you're busy scrubbing the grime out of your toenails, that's when you reach those Beyonce high notes or those Adele vibrations. Only then, when you're taking out the grime from under your toenails, but forget about doing anything at all with your singing on YouTube, doing covers, so that you can finally quit that 9 to 5 and be a soccer mom. And the maid of honorzilla did that. That's it. The maid of honorzilla did that. Yeah. But she's out here in these streets listening to all of your tall tales so that she can map it up against her traceability matrix to see just exactly where it is that she is at in comparison to what she hoped would be the outcome of your life. And sometimes there is slippage, you don't walk in exactly the lockstep methodology that she set apart for your life. You don't walk hand to glove with what they planned for you, but if it gets real close, that's enough, they'll take it. Just insofar as you're not going to go and live your fabulous life in front of them and continue to do a wonderful thing unfettered. Insofar as there can be some kind of a resistance of that nature, then that's enough. My oh my, that is literally having an enemy that is the bane of your existence, a mortal one, frankly, a mortal enemy, close, touching your babies, winking at your husband in the kitchen as you cook, hanging out amidst your colleagues. You are bringing your murderer into your ecosystem. The person that is the stealer and the killer of your dreams. You are literally chilling with them, having the society on like once a month with other ladies who, when you're not there, they're gossiping you. But you're chilling out with every last random freaky little rando that has come up against something in your life during that season when you got that cloasma, that melasma on your cheeks and you didn't know what under heaven was going on. Why am I breaking out into the chubaba? It's that girl that couldn't stand your beauty. You got all that stuff. You got all that acne because of some witchcraft, but you don't know Jesus, or you're not too serious with him. So there is no prevention of witchcraft from operating. Next thing, the most gorgeous girl in the crew of girlfriends has cloasma. Your skin is now patchy. You've broken out into something. And so you go see a dermatologist and think that this thing is just medical. Maybe it's what you're eating, hormones, perhaps it's pregnancy. Except like last time you had a baby was 3 years ago. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and I'm the one here that's in trouble? I'm sorry. Like I said, every last one of my girlfriends in high school and a whole bunch of them from university, colleagues that I made friends, colleagues that weren't my friends but were just collegial, friends, family members, yeah. They have cast spells on the living daylights of my funny life. And so we're not friends. Like, I don't want you in my life. I don't want you taking tabs. I don't want you inviting me to pre-me. I don't want you inviting me to a restaurant so you can sit down and take notes about what's going on with my life so you can figure out just how well your witchcraft worked. So, Christian church, everybody that's calling yourselves Christians, listening to my life, like gnashing your teeth at me, disliking the living daylights out of me, wondering why my life sucks so much. Well, when you have the kind of spiritual gift that I have, you avoid the company of creeps. And unfortunately, they are so teeming at the folds all over society. There are so many of them that in my particular life, I literally have none to turn to. I have no one that is normal in my life. I don't have friends. Because like I said, all of my friends from high school put a spell in some way, shape, or form on my life. And a whole bunch of them were professing Christians. One of them was a Jehovah's Witness. And it's like, okay. Well, I guess that means no more lunches then, girl, because I'm not trying to have you figure out exactly what happened to my life. But you see, what they can do is look at my YouTube videos, come in the space, wonder what's gone down. And then when they find out, they get really gnashy and teethy. They start to look like hell citizens. And the smoke of their torment starts to rise up forever. Because I'm embarrassing now. I'm embarrassing, and it obviously looks as if though they've done something to me. I'm like that person saying, I know what you did last summer. So now they are deliberately trying to act in concert together like I went crazy one day. Except my YouTube channel is speaking volumes. They have, in consensus, all of them, friends and family members alike, literally decided to ignore my cause, ignore everything that I am, leave a woman to die in destitution, completely ignored. Because apparently I went crazy, so crazy that I just could not function in society anymore. And all of them tried. And, I mean, she calls everybody crazy. She says everyone is a witch, you guys. So, I mean, what are you going to do with a person like that? So they're just walking around, tiptoeing around, literally a person that one day they could find hanging on a noose. And at my funeral, they will rock up crying and say, oh my goodness, we try to tell her to go and see a therapist. We try to tell her to go, yeah, wow. That's the thing about witchcraft over there. It's anonymous, it's unseen, and so for those reasons, witchcraft rely on the fact that it is very hard. Witches rely on the fact that it's very hard to prove that they've done this thing, and so they lean on calling their victims crazy. And they come together in voluminous numbers, so they create a little bit of a chorus, a concert, in reviling the name of their accuser, and this is how the person just dies. So the worst gift you can never have in a society full of witches is a prophetic gifting. But you see, my sobriety, the clarity of my sobriety, the clarity of my cognitive availability, the fact that I am so alert, alive, crystal clear, sober, sane, that's the thing that's throwing them off the chair. And my insistence on surviving such a hard life evidences that I am reasonable. I will not just kill myself, because who does that? I am holding on. I'm doing everything I can to survive. I exercise. I come here and I talk. I have established a routine in what is obviously a jail cell. I've established a routine in what is obviously a cave. And this routine is keeping me alive and sober so I don't lose my mind. And all of those efforts are evidencing my mental sobriety. They are evidencing the fact that I am like a kidnapped victim that is doing everything in their power to escape a crazy person that's held them hostage in a basement. And who then is the crazy person on that day? Whoever under heaven is out here trying to act as if though such a sober woman is crazy. My ministry is embarrassing. So it's encircled by just witches. People who every so often even come to check what's happening with Karabo. And when they find what's happening with me happening, they get so embarrassed that they can't help but cast more spells. They're trying to finish me off. I'm a necessary evil, do you understand? But would you much rather hang out with a friend that keeps tabs on your life to see just how well their witchcraft did? A traceability matrix like that in project management. Someone that is literally guarding your life to map it against a chart that they drew up 10 years ago to see if they are 50% in, and based on the year in question, are they 80% arrived? Are they 80% successful to have done what they wanted to do in your life? Did you get the divorce? Or are you at the age of 39 or 40 like Karabo, unmarried? Are you not where we wanted you to do? If I cast a spell for you to not get married, did I get that right? So I got a whole bunch of witches looking at my life that came up against my marriage prospects thinking that, you know, whoa, okay, my witchcraft worked, except I'm not in their lives. I'm not sitting opposite them at a restaurant eating some strange meal that they're paying for. I am avoidant. I have slammed my door. I have shut it. I want nothing to do with them. And that's the taboo. With me, they don't get to have their bread buttered on both sides. They don't get to have their cake and eat it too. They get to have an enemy since they have made out of me an enemy, given that they came up against my career, my children, my husband, my future, my businesses, my family, my hair, my skin, my teeth, my eyelashes, my vest. Anything they could touch, they touched it. So I mean, really, if you're gonna do that to me, I'm sorry, we're mortal enemies. We will never talk. You will be a disgusting thing to me. The memories that I shared with you will be a sorrowful nostalgia as opposed to a joyful and a peaceful one where you're just thinking about back in the days. Now no longer is my high school an experience that I had that I enjoyed. It is an experience that I had with a bunch of freaks and creeps. I look at that time as a sorrowful time in my life, even though it was quite a happy time. Why? Because I was roaming around with some zombies that would one day utterly obliterate my future. Same goes with the university friends. Same goes with any other random cheeky that I gathered for myself out in these streets. My ex-boyfriends, all of the memories that I had that were good with them are just a sore point. I can't stand checking out my photos on Facebook, my old account, because go Facebook is all the beautiful life, the memories I gathered with all of them. But they're not beautiful anymore. They're sorrowful, they're poignant, because literally, our memories of a wedding day, wonderful to look at the photos when the husband has killed the wife. 10 years into the marriage, on that day you wish that marriage never happened, that wedding day never happened. You wish she never met him because now her blood is crying out to God for justice from the ground at his hands. So yeah, they like the husband that kills the wife after 10 years of marriage. They are the people that I once upon a time celebrated a gargantuan, beautiful wedding day, and now they have killed me. So thank you, randos, for making my high school so terrible, even though it was such a funny time. I loved it. Thank you for making my experiences in corporate South Africa such a monstrous horror show, because now you all have driven knives into me such that any good memory is now something worthy of crying over at a funeral. You have gone on and taken something beautiful, much like a couple that falls in love and then one day the woman drives a knife into the heart of the man, and so how they met, that story doesn't matter. You wish it never happened. You destroyed memories that were otherwise very good, very wholesome. You destroyed all the giggles, the laughter. You destroyed all of the camaraderie we shared. And you said, what I'm going to do is become a little bloodthirsty animal later on. And I'm going to make sure that every memory I ever gathered with my victim will be painful. So thanks for making me appear to be a woman that had a very sore childhood when it was not even that bad. Thank you for making me be a woman that hated every lost friend, even though really it wasn't like that. A woman that never could gather for herself friends, even though it was not really ever like that. So cabin in the woods is my life now. All I do is catch monsters. God gave me this gift that I can catch these monsters and I then be the final destination. The earth is that bad. These witches have destroyed that much. It is a cosmic chaos, but a lot of people don't know it. So all of y'all wanna be Christians looking at me on some, but why would God abandon her like this? Why is her life so sucky doopy? No, I am an example, do you understand? I'm a monument. I am some kind of a figure of speech, a metaphor, an allegory by God, using it to help you understand what under heaven would happen if all of y'all would know what everybody is doing to you. And what under heaven would happen if his common grace did not apply on society to block some witchcraft from working. You would be sitting opposite the person that is responsible for the funeral of your child, and they would be the ones comforting you at that funeral. That's what would happen. If you had my kind of spiritual gifting, you would know every lost murderer of your family members. You would know why everything is falling apart. But because everybody around you does not believe, you would then sound like this crazy person that's hyper paranoid schizophrenic about every lost witch. Except evidence of the fact that this witchcraft is apparent and evident is in the treatment of your person by those people when you tell them, I know what you did last summer. Look at me. I'm an aberrant case. Abnormality reigning 24 hours a day. I was born into a somewhat normal family, yet every last one of my family members are standing back, sitting, waiting for a dark animal in America to finish me off. They're like Salome. God keeps on using that as an example. Salome is the woman that was responsible for the murder of John the Baptist, who was beheaded. She asked a favor with some licentious human individual, I think it was King Herod, to basically, throw in a favor for her by killing John the Baptist. Give me John the Baptist's head. And that's exactly what was ordered, and so John the Baptist died. These women around my life are like Salome. They are scanning the atmosphere for any licentious, creepy little animal with a yellow candle that burns people to death in their little occult shrine. And they're like, you, King Herod, since you are such a pervert, you over there, since you are salivating after basically your stepdaughter, do this favor for me. That's what's good. Kill John the Baptist. I can't stand him. So these witches are reliant on more violent witches in the form of men. They are reliant on this little satanic, creepy animal in America. They're relying on him to basically finish me off. And they're telling themselves that at least I don't have the blood on my hands. At least I'm not the one here that will have been responsible for Karabo's death. At least I didn't cast a death curse. I just came against her hair, please. I just came against her nose, please. I just came against her neck, please. I just came against her top, please. I just came against something else. I did not try to kill her, but I'm going to sit back and literally watch someone that is trying finish it off. Salome, do it. Do not think God is mocked, but do not be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, so too shall he reap. Not only am I a house that is housing, bolted in, closed in, walls on all sides, shrinking all manner and kinds of witches that came into my life. I'm not only holding hostage that silly American man, but I'm holding you hostage too. Like witches, you would love to deny that this is true, but you can't stop coming back to my ministry. You are drawn here by both your devil and by God. Two forces more powerful than you. You cannot. Your evil is drawing you to me because you want my demise. But God is drawing you to me because he wants your redemption. So you are at a crossroads here in my ministry. You can either repent or you will definitely perish, but you will not ever leave this place ever again sober. You will never leave okay. You will not leave alive. Your life is going to be permanently altered because you happened into my ministry. You hopped into my ministry like a little bunny rabbit, and you were naive thinking you can just keep on hopping, but not before dropping your stools. Except on the day you dropped your stools, that's when God locked you in a cage in my haunted mansion, and in that cage you will cast more spells and more spells and more spells until the singularity you have reached takes you over. It's your soul that's in danger. It's never been mine. All I do is just flee every day. I just run from witches. I have accepted the life that I live. I'm no longer so naive as to anticipate anything coming into my life. The Lord has seen it fit to make me live in isolation for a season for whatever reason. I'm like Micaiah, eating meager portions of bread and water. And if I live in acceptance, I don't then despair over lack or want. Whatever it is that I don't have, if I just take it in my stride that it's not coming, because I understand we're going home, it makes all of the sorrow of my life just a little bit, just a tad bit less sorrowful. When you have been cleansed from being an idolater of the things of the earth, when people take away yet another hair from your head, it's like, oh my goodness, it's just hair, it'll regrow. That's exactly how I feel about everything that's fallen apart. It was once upon a time the bane of my existence and a deep, poignant sorrow to have lost out on children and a husband. It was once upon a very deep sorrow to be unable to work, to be unable to finish my degree, to be unable to basically thrive in society. But I've lived in this little haunted mansion where I keep on getting pelted on my windows by witches. It's been so long that I've been in here that now every day I expect something ominous to come instead of anything beneficial. I no longer look for charity. I look for enmity. I look for beasts, animals. I look for people who charge me because I am safer with a shield against their weapons when I'm always guarded that way, rather than safer hoping that there is going to be sobriety in a society that thinks that I am abnormal because I'm forsaken. I am living in an abnormal life because God has seen it fit to just ignore me. God doesn't care about me, or that they're better off than me because they're not in my position, but they don't even realize that the only reason why they're not in my position is because they don't see as I do. And seeing the way that I do would give them access to understand just how bad this world is, how fallen it is, and how many people are coming up against everything in their lives and sitting with them at dinner the next day. That level of betrayal. It's been prophesied, predicted in Matthew 24, that because of an increase in lawlessness, the love of many is going to grow cold. People are going to betray one another. They're going to throw you under the bus, and then they're going to rock up and do a traceability matrix against their witchcraft to see how well it is their curse on your fertility worked. When they curse your fertility while you're trying to conceive with your husband, they will come back after 2 years to see what's going on, and if you've adopted some kids, they're like, yes, it worked. If you finally capitulated to adoption, they'll be like, yes, my fertility, my infertility spell worked. Imagine having a woman that has killed your uterus, your womb, your eggs, burning your future biological children, literally putting them in a furnace, an inferno, and no fertility specialist can help you until you adopt. That's a murderer. That's someone that has aborted all of your biological babies, and you're sitting opposite them at a restaurant. And you think I'm in trouble. You think I'm in trouble. You think the person that has done human sacrifice using your eggs is you're better off? You're better off not knowing what they've done? That ignorance is bliss? It's one thing to be targeted by a stranger, guys. To be killed by someone, some pervert lurking in the bushes, seeking whomever he might want to devour. Like this man in America. It's just like a pervert lurking in some bushes, pouncing on women walking home late in the day that no one sees. He grabs people that are in a compromised position, bringing them into his ecosystem, ransacking them, ravaging them, having them by force. I can better understand the activity of that creep in the US of A than the activity of a person that lives with you in the same house and yet is the one to steal your dignity and your chastity right from underneath your feet, to rip the carpet from underneath your feet right in your presence and then say, I've done nothing. In the Proverbs, there is a woman, a wicked woman that is described therein, that she eats honey and then says, I don't know what you're talking about. Says, I've done nothing. She basically wipes her mouth after eating and says, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, these are the people that are in your lives. They have consumed all of your glory, and then they sit next to you and they comfort you. They pat you on your shoulders. And I'm the one here that's in trouble. I don't have friends, people, because that many people are involved in witchcraft. Almost everyone I have ever collected, they have destroyed my youth. They have destroyed my upbringing, my childhood memories, clubbing, partying, all the memories I gathered as a young woman on the come up, my career, the conversations we had, like I said, the laughter, the sorrow, the crying, the joy, everything that you can ever experience with human beings. They ripped all that apart, burnt it to the ground. And now it's like I've lived an abused life all my life. Even when I started out pretty okay. Yeah, that level of betrayal. And yet people are looking at me, gnashing their teeth at a woman that is obviously abandoned by God. I have a job to do before the rapture happens, before the tribulation commences, to show the world of whoever will listen to me just how bad it is out here and why we had to go home. It is teeming at the folds with darkness, and dark people have got their little charts, their little traceability matrix charts checking how badly or how well their witchcraft is doing. So this little animal, this nefarious little dark dingy thing that is lurking in a bush trying to pounce on me in America, this dude from California, he is a self-practicing witch and has got a shrine in his own little room, tiny dark house that he lives, and he keeps burning some yellow candle. I keep seeing some yellow candle, guys. He keeps burning it over and over and over again. When it runs out, he goes and gets a new one and burns it because it's a death-cursed candle. In his little voodoo shrine, he keeps burning some yellow candle. And every time he burns it, I get attacked by so much despair. I get attacked by so much depression. I start to get all of this suicide ideation. I get a flood of nightmares where basically people are packing up my things because I've died. Last night, I saw a vision just before I slept of my vehicle being pulled out or driven out of the driveway because they were removing it due to the fact that it was too painful for it to be there because I had committed suicide. When I saw that, I was like, yo, God, he started again. And the Lord was like, I told you he would be busy all the way up until the rapture. He would try to kill you all the way up until the rapture. He will burn that candle. Yours is to conquer that thing every day with the strategy that I gave you. Work out and talk, work out and talk, work out and talk. It will give you enough joy every single day to conquer feelings of suicide. Suicide ideation. He will try until he dies. But once he dies, somebody else is going to take his place because the devil has given permission to torment you in this way up until the rapture. And the reason why I have allowed for all of this is in order that you might, by the time you get raptured, be a convincing case, a convincing story of just how bad the world is, and just how unprotected people are, and just how much people need God, and just how demon-possessed people in the occult are, even though they're naive thinking that they can handle this. They think they are in charge or in control of demons when demons are in control of them. They've reached singularity. I am using your ministry to reach more than any other single group or batch of people on the earth, witches. I'm using your ministry to help them understand that their demonic possession, their dabbling is that bad. It's that extreme. They're that possessed. They literally have no control of their own bodies anymore. And the evidence of that will be how they manifest in the presence of a true Christian, and how they can't stop themselves from doing this, and that in the absence of crying out to me, they are basically gone. Singularity is this thing that artificial intelligence does when it now wants to basically run itself apart from human beings. That's what demons are doing inside the bodies of people who keep dabbling with the occult. They give them free reign and access to their bodies. And how it is that you know that you've reached singularity is when you can no longer exercise self-control to cast a spell, when you just feel charged to hurt something apart from yourself, when your entire personality is changed, when you've done a complete 180 from the person you used to be. At that stage, there's nobody that can rescue you other than the one that was wise enough not to create something that is stronger than him. God created human beings because they're weaker than him. He created all of creation, making it a lot smaller than him, that it can never ever one day plan a coup against him and succeed. But human beings allow themselves to get cooed by things they create. You dabble with witchcraft, you do all these funny things, and then demons take you over. You dabble with artificial intelligence, and then next thing there's singularity. That's what human beings do. But when then singularity happens with AI, when then singularity finally happens with demonic possession too, when things get to that point, I guess you gotta go to the one that created even AI, that created mankind's creativity such that they can create AI. Basically the ones that are too limited to create above God. You gotta go to the source code. You gotta go to the source creator. You have to go to God because he's the only one that's going to rescue you from the AI apocalypse, and the only one that's going to rescue you from a demon apocalypse, a fallen angel apocalypse. I have consumed so many Ouija board sessions worth of demons that I can no longer function operationally. I now have to be put into a psychiatric hospital in a stray suit, crawling up walls, because no one knows what in the world has happened with me. Human beings and all of their diagnoses, all of their prognoses can't figure out what's going on with me. And you underestimate the one person that is telling you she's living in a haunted mansion with a bunch of people that have reached singularity. And they can't stop crawling up walls in my particular life. And they keep casting spells over and over again. And now they're trying to kill me. And they don't know why they've become a murderer when they were once such a sweet little girl. This dude in America, I had a dream 2 nights ago of him being a dog. He was reduced to a werewolf. And he was howling, whoa, 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 at the moon. He was howling at the moon. He was gone, like none of his humanity was there. He was just a werewolf. So it is no wonder he keeps burning some yellow candle trying to make me commit suicide. He's gonna keep coming at me. He's just one of the monsters locked in my big mansion. And now that I'm not allowing anybody to come in, which is on the outside, that want to infiltrate a rubbish man into my life, a rubbish agenda into my life, they are angry. And so they are casting all different kinds of spells on my ministry, all different kinds of spells. Everything I say, they cast a spell on it. They cast my fitness, everything. They're trying to depress me so much that I will finally do what they want to do. But that's just the thing. If you're a practicing witch and you've been drawn to my ministry, it's for one of 2 reasons. Either God wants your soul, or either God wants you finished off. One of 2. But I am witch's final destination. So Ananias and Sapphira Christians that are watching me with all of their insensitivity, understand you are being affected just as I am affected by the depression. Just as I am being affected by the suicide ideation, just as it does hit me, I just have to resist it. Their insistence that you should not support me, that you should leave me in this state until I finally die, evidences even your lack of strength in Christ. You cannot be biblical with me for whatever reason. Body of Christ that is watching me. And so you're literally watching the Hunger Games. You're watching a woman suffer and be starved and attempted murdered by a beast lurking in the woods that has now been locked up by God in that state until he dies. And all you can say is, at least I'm not in her shoes. You're angry at me for calling you out. Except I am not the one here calling you out. Don't shoot the messenger. It is God. The fact that I have no support from the body of Christ is evidence of just how apostate the last days church is. It's not that I have no one that is Christian watching me. It's that I have no one that is Christian prepared to help me, precisely because they're waiting for somebody else to do it, or they're waiting to see how this is going to end. And the thing that's charging you in that direction is covetousness. What do you covet? You envy the ministry that I have to fight the darkness that's also operating in your life, but you don't see it. You don't see it. And so now a woman is essentially dying with no support because people are experimenting with, let's see how far this goes. Well, the Lord is going to help me. I already said that. Through me. He's going to help me get out of this through me. I am going to self-deliver. I'm going to get out of this by myself. The rapture is going to happen, but not before. I already told you guys this. Before I get my own apartment again. Before I monetize my fitness. That is happening. Whether or not it does, I can speak about it 20 times a day here. And witches think that because they've got power against me, they can cast spells on it. But the window of affliction on my fitness content is coming to a close, and I am going to finally monetize. So I will finally be able to do everything for myself. And on that day, all the Christians that kept on watching my content, sending me silly emails on some I'm encouraging you without even helping me along, they're going to feel like trash. They're going to realize that if at all at any given moment I had capitulated to the death curses of that filthy dude in the US of A, they would have literally stood back and done nothing and watched a woman die. Matthew 25. This is what Jesus says. When I was hungry, you didn't give me food. When I was naked, you didn't give me drink. When I was in prison and sick, you did not visit me. When I was needed hospitality, you didn't invite me into your house. And you will ask the Lord, when did I not do this for you? And the Lord will tell you, whatever you didn't do for the least of my disciples, you did not do it for me. Do not imagine that you can sit outside of my life as a Christian and watch this and literally a woman complain day and night about some filthy animal that's busy trying to kill her and do nothing except perhaps maybe like the content or share the content or act like you didn't even see it. Just sit there hoping, wondering how this is going to end, like you're watching a movie. How this is going to end. While I keep telling you I am being targeted, crawled up my walls are a bunch of witches, and my life conditions are aberrant precisely because I have witches living with me on the same property. I am encircled by a whole bunch of them, but that's just the thing. That's the ministry that God gave me. That's the job that God gave me. So when you see into the occult, when you see what they do, they get really upset with you and they charge you with a whole bunch of curses. And so therefore fighting them off and being a warrior in that regard becomes your thing, meaning that more than anything, you need support from the body of Christ. So the quietness of Christians on my particular case is frankly disgusting. It is detestable. And if you are a believer, you are better off getting out of my ministry and not even watching it, because the judgment on you for merely just gazing upon this and doing nothing is haughtier than if at all you never ever happened upon my content. You are without excuse. The quietness of the church where my life is concerned leaves a lot to be desired, and it also confirms the great apostasy. I should have support. I've been getting persecuted by the church since the beginning. I was cast out of the synagogues like it is written in John 16, where those who were afflicting me were doing so thinking they're doing a service to God, helping witches along, because my church was teeming at the folds, for crying out loud, with witches, and they believed them. And now it's 9 years later. 9 years later, so that is how apostate the never mind South African church is, but global church. The fact that I have no support is disgusting, because I am online, I am making myself visible, and there is no amount of shadow banning that YouTube can do, and no amount of casting a spell, a smoke screen, a cloak over my ministry that witches can do that will blind the eyes of Christians to fellow brothers and sisters' existence anywhere in the world, insofar as they show their bodies. Insofar as they show their faces, the Lord would never allow a Christian to be so hidden that they can't be seen by other Christians. That he has put in a position to speak to other people. I'm on a public platform. YouTube, it is global. There is no amount of shadow banning that YouTube can do, or banning that witches can do, that will prevent a truly blood-bought Christian from seeing another Christian if the Lord wants them to see you. So essentially, the body of Christ at this particular moment is just choosing to be flippant. They're choosing to ignore me for whatever reason. For whatever reason. They're being disobedient. And this is the thing that God speaks about in the parable of the virgins, the 10 virgins. The 5 wise versus the 5 unwise. Towards the end, there's going to be people who want to stand with Jesus, but that frankly are capitulating to their flesh. The experimentation on my life is so exorbitant and so astronomical and so out of this world that even Christians are literally sitting back waiting to see how this ends. And you will sit back waiting to see how this ends until you're still sitting there clicking on my content, clicking on the next Christian's content, clicking on the next Christian's content. At the rapture, you'll still be clicking and you will not be going home, because you will have deliberately disregarded the plight of the persecuted church when God led you to their ministries to do something. I am being killed by some filthy animal in America, and he is inspiring so much depression in my bones that I sometimes wake up having never mind seen myself hanging or dead, but also my family members literally packing up my space because I passed away. That's how close to finishing me off this guy is. And people listen to this kind of stuff and every day just are like, we'll see what happens tomorrow. She's strong. Just like my family, everybody is holding on to my strength. While that very strength, indeed, the Lord God Almighty will give it to me to persevere until the end. But once you've been left behind, body of Christ, understand why that had to happen. And now these monsters that are charging me, these monsters that are inside my mansion, these monsters that are locked in rooms inside my little establishment, they're going to be unleashed on the earth. And there will be no restrainer this time around. There will be no thing that makes you feel relieved that at least you have a job. The thing that makes you feel relieved that at least you don't have a family that hates you. The relief that you feel that you're not living my life, you will no longer have that. Because when the restrainer is gone, these people are not going to hide their true colors. They're going to, in broad daylight, be as evil as they possibly can be. They're going to, it will be like those monsters in the cabin in the woods, being allowed from their cages. Witches are going to wax worse. Wicked men and imposters will wax worse, going from bad to where they will get more and more evil, deceiving and being deceived, and take heed to myths. So if you think demon-possessed people don't live among you, because your society looks relatively normal, the only reason why they are not manifesting is because you're not the fire that you're supposed to be to cause that manifestation in the first place. And secondly, there is a restrainer in operation right now, preventing people who dabble in the occult, eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner like this dude in America. I'm pretty sure he can go to the store and come back without people looking at him funny. Because he's busy. Ugh. But I've seen him looking like a werewolf. Completely gone. His humanity erased. Yet he probably is able to go to the store, scan some groceries, go home, while people think he's an honest man. Yet he goes back into a shrine and daily bewitches a woman that is not his. He is naive enough to think I might one day accommodate him. Keeps on sending me love spells, and when they fail, death curses. Keeps on burning some yellow candle. He is a freak. And a man that has reached singularity, but society don't see it. Wait until the restrainer is removed and see what people like him are going to end up looking like after the rapture. When there is no Holy Spirit restricting even his ability to put on a facade. The thing that he masquerades in is going to be ripped off. If you think about the sealed judgments that are opened in the book of Revelation, one of the riders is war. One of the riders is basically just mass carnage on the earth, where people are going to be inspired or charged in themselves to just slay one another. Men will slay one another. That is not even the rider on the horse that is death. It's not yet the death, the pale horse. It's another horse, I think the red one. Whoa. When that one rides, when that horse rides out, people just start to kill each other. So these people that are practicing right now, that are restrained by the Holy Spirit, their own sense of morality, society's current operating model that is making it such that you can't just do whatever you want without getting caught and sent to prison. When the kind of chaos that is going to happen on the earth because the rapture happens, it's going to unleash a purge on the earth. A purge. Do you understand? Like in the movie The Purge, where people are just going, like, all crime will be legal. There will be it won't be easy to do consequence management in society. It won't be easy to just arrest a criminal. It will not be easy. There's like a glitch and a lag there with my speech. I apologize. I've been speaking for long. Yeah, it won't be easy for law enforcement to do its job. And so people are going to do the most. So the wickedness in them is going to finally just rip out of their chests. Like, proper, whatever is their true self is going to rip out. Like something that is, what do you call this? I don't know if I can think of a movie where like a beast basically takes a person's body over and rips out. And that's all that exists. When people allow themselves to be used by demons because they love witchcraft, at the point of the rapture, at the point of the removal of the restrainer, they will be taken to the very end of themselves. They've already reached singularity, but it doesn't show. But the rapture is going to reveal them for exactly what they are. They will literally be like zombies. You are going to struggle to recognize them. Everybody is going to be scary. People are going to be running away from random strangers on the street. Now when you go out and you take a walk in the street and a neighbor comes walking their dog, you don't automatically think they might just wield a weapon and shoot you dead or charge you and beat you up. You don't. But the time is coming when people are going to be scared to go out in the street, because every last person that's walking there could potentially be so far gone that they're just thirsty, hungry, anything, eat, grant. They will be looting everything and everywhere and everyone. I had a vision just last night of this place being like plastic bags that, you know, like when dust blows garbage that has been floating around on the floor, how it can land anywhere, like plastic bags here on the pathway, on the patio of my mom's house, evidencing that my mom is not here and no one is in the house. No one is in the house. It's just been looted. Everything that could be taken is taken. House is like fully furnished at this point. Nobody cares about the furniture, they just wanted the food. And outside there were plastics, like dirt, rubbish, that were put in the yard by wind, just floating around. Something that my mom would never ever allow for garbage to just like chill on the patio like that. It looked like an empty, abandoned house. That's what I'm explaining to you guys. That season is coming. It's gonna get so violent that burglaries, house break-ins, another Tuesday. People are going to have to go underground, hide, board up windows, carry weapons. There's a store at Clearwater Mall that sells guns. Places like those are going to be run over with looting. People are going to steal guns and they're going to open doors with rifles. Something that's not currently happening. And you think I'm the one here that's in trouble. That little monster from the US, if he was, that dude is not going to live much longer. His life is ending. Okay? But men like him, people who just can't stop dabbling. They can't stop. They just can't help but cast a spell, burn a candle, do ABC. My goodness. If the rapture should happen while they're still practicing that stuff, they will manifest into some of the worst demons, that nothing of them will be left, and they will be the people that you have to keep running away from. The monsters lurking in the streets that eat babies' flesh. That is what is coming. And you think I'm the one here that's in trouble. I'm just preparing people for what's coming. Preparing people for them living with guns in their houses, opening doors with guns, shooting on contact. Blood on people's hands is going to increase. People that would never have ever harmed a fly are going to have a body count because of how many people are unsafe and how many people have to be killed just in self-defense. And you think I'm the one here that's in danger. Been trying to protect myself from this dude that's reached singularity in the US and no one is helping me along. While you there who called yourself a Christian, you're about to experience some of the worst demonic manifestation on the earth that has ever happened because you refused to not only give your life truly to Christ or be serious with the Lord, but you literally watched a Christian suffer a tribulation-like experience where she is seeing the extent of manifestation in people, and she's being attacked by random lay Janes on the street, charging her just as they're walking their dogs. And you think that I am the one here that is just talking up a whole bunch. My life is aberrant, that I'm talking rubbish, that I'm extreme, that I'm coming up with conspiracy theories, except, like I said, I am preparing people for the tribulation. And so my life is similar to that of tribulation saints. Or, tribulation saints. I like demonic manifestation. The way that I see demonic demons in people, the way that I see all that is exactly it's going to be a more stark reality in the tribulation by everybody. I see it because I've got a spiritual gifting, but these people can cloak themselves, masquerading as angels of light, and go to the store, buy bread, and come home without people thinking, whoa, what is that beast? That's what's going on currently. But once the rapture happens, nobody will be confused about someone that is demon possessed, someone that dabbles with witchcraft. Nobody will be confused. Everybody will know. Everybody will know that that's a witch, that's a witch, that's a witch, that's a witch, that's a witch. Because they will not be able to be normal. They will not be able to. But you will have ignored me. All the best with that. I'm signing out in Christ's name, Cran K. Peace out. I hope you've been edified. Candle burning guy in the US. I can't even say rest in peace. You're as good as dead. You're as good as dead. Keep casting those spells. Keep burning those candles, man. Keep burning them until finally you commit suicide, because that's exactly how you're going to get killed. Other little witches that feel entitled to me from South Africa, I told you, go gun you down. It's only a matter of time. That's how I'm going to get relief from your constant death curses. But somebody else is going to replace you, so I guess I'll have reprieve for all of 5 seconds. But by the time somebody else replaces you, by the time somebody else rocks up and makes a decision to basically neutralize me, since you are out of the picture, all right, I will be closer to my goal. I will be closer and closer to getting out of here. I will reach my 1,000 subscribers on my channel for fitness, and I will get my 4,000 watch hours. So it is going to be I'm gonna gain relief just by mere virtue of the fact that my life will be better. So all the suicide ideation, the depression of not having family, whatnot, it'll still follow me, but it is going to be reprieved by the fact that at least I've got my own life. But goodbye, American guy, you're dying. Don't say I didn't. At this point, I don't even think warning makes a difference. He's dead. I come here to tell people what he's doing, not so much to even talk to him. He's dead. He's gone. Like I said, werewolf howling at the moon. That's how gone he is. Singularity. And you think you can just do whatever you want with witchcraft. Alright guys, yes, and all the best. I'm out.